Well, now that Christmas and New Year's is past, oftentimes there's a lull. We've worked up to this big event, and now it's over, and it's still cold outside, and there's sometimes a lull. Well, one of the exciting things that we are just thrilled about here at Fremont is the new Sunday sermon series that Pastor David's going to be starting on discipleship. And so I want to read a couple verses to you that actually come from the book of Habakkuk. And yes, that's actually a book of the Bible. It's towards the end of the Old Testament. It's a great few verses. And it's in chapter 3, verses 17 through 19. And here's how it reads. Though the fig tree should not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, the produce of the olive fail, and the fields yield no fruit, the flocks be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stalls. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will take joy in the God of my salvation. God, the Lord, is my strength. He makes my feet like the deer's. He makes me tread on my high places. What exactly does the term discipleship mean? It's a term that we kick around a lot, but what actually does it mean? And that's something we're going to be talking about over many weeks. One of the things, if you think of discipleship, is a follower of Christ. But discipleship is also, it's an unwavering commitment to passionately follow Christ no matter the circumstance. Now, the context of the verses I just read is this. This is about 600 years before Christ came, and there's a country, the Babylonians are really God's tool for judgment upon many nations of the world. And they're about to come in and do the same thing to Judah. And Habakkuk, the prophet, is beside himself, wondering why and how in the world God could allow these things to happen. And he is confused and not sure why in the world that this wicked nation would be allowed to do these things. In the verses that we read, we saw Habakkuk finally being able to rejoice. And why was that? Well, he came to the point where even if everything normal and predictable of God would fail, that God was still worthy to be followed and worthy to be worshiped. So what's the equivalent for us today of everything normal and predictable going wrong? Perhaps it's a financial crisis. Perhaps it's a relationship that is broken or suffered. Perhaps it's death itself, where we've experienced death of a loved one. Perhaps it's health problems or even loneliness. See, it's in these times that our passionate pursuit of Christ is actually deeply enriched when we continue to follow him in spite of the sadness that we may feel. And so taking a page from Habakkuk, we see that he finally came to the point where he realized that God was worthy to be followed, not for the blessings that he could receive, but for the person who he was.